Edgar F. Poe in 1970. A relation is nothing but we call it a table. So meaning we organize the table in a database, something like with uh, rows and columns. Okay, so we define a relational model, okay, which we call table with columns and rows. So it represents a physical table wherein we use to store and process data. So there are some terminologies uh, that is being used uh, in different aspect. Like in database industry, they call it as table, while in academic they call it as relation, like this one, relational model. But in file processing, they call it as file. Okay, in manual system we call it as file. Okay, so in database industry we call it as row. In academic we call it as tuple instead of row. Okay, file processing we call it as record. Something like in file processing, we have a folder wherein we file all the records of a particular employee or a particular organization, and then we place it inside the filing cabinet. Properties of relation. Relation has name that is distinct from all the names in the relationship schema. So we create a table name, okay, a distinct table name for a specific entity, okay, wherein each cell of the relation contains exactly one value. So meaning to say, there's no duplication of records, wherein each attribute has distinct name. So let's say, for example, instead of having the label customer name, so we call it as cost name or simply as uh, or customer address. A key is one or more columns of a relation or table that is used to identify a record. So we assign a primary key or foreign key, okay, to identify a record. So we have unique keys like uh, primary key, candidate key, alternate key, and surrogate key. So isa lang yan, isang unique key lang siya. And then we have the foreign key. Foreign key is an alternative key wherein we uh, assign a foreign key in the absence of the primary key in one particular table. So we can borrow primary key to another table as the foreign, or we can assign another key. Say for example, in student records, because in student table we have USN as the primary key. Okay, so we assign it as primary key. It's something to do with unique identifier. Okay. So these are the common data types. We have numeric. When you say numeric, it's more on numbers. So there are some common data types used uh, in database, like integer if it is full number, decimal if it is with decimal pages. We have character and string. We have character, single character. Okay, but we have other data types for character or string. We have barchar. Barchar means a series of characters including numbers, letters, and spaces. Okay, that's string or barchar. Okay, and then for date and time, we simply uh, indicate the date and the date time data type with corresponding date format. So if we use date, so we have this format, and then for date and time, of course, we have date and time. And data type or data that is being answerable by yes or no, or true or false. Okay. So we have not null and null value. Null value is unknown. Okay. So it doesn't mean it's zero or blank space, but it's a null value. So we have null uh, value in this row. So we need to say unknown value or inapplicable value. The environment of Oracle 19C. So this is an online uh, Oracle Live SQL. Okay, instead of downloading, okay, it from Oracle, you only have to sign up for a particular uh, uh, account. So let's start coding. So there is also some tutorials regarding SQL for more information. So we can start coding now. Use my personal email. So this is now the text editor for Oracle. Oracle natin. Okay. So let's create a table. Let's say we would like to have uh, patient admission system wherein we identify the, or we, let's say, physician admits patient and patient is being assigned to room. So let's see, we will have physician or physician table. We have patient table and we have the room table. Let's have create first the physician table. Let's have create table. So that is the keyword for creating a table. So we have create table and then the table name. Let's say physician. So we can have physician table or just simply as table or physician. Okay, so we have physician ID underscore ID. Attribute must be unique, must be distinct from other attributes. So we have int. Since we will enter number, so the data type is int, not null. Must be not null value, so that uh, there's no way to input a blank or a null value or not applicable value. So we need also to assign a primary key for physician ID. So we have, let's say, specialization. Specialization means the skills of the doctor. Say this is 20. Barker means string, so user must input uh, string, okay, including characters, letters, and uh, special symbols, okay, including uh, spaces. So 20 means the number of spaces or number of letters to be inputted by uh, any user. So the closing, so it must have a close parenthesis and then to close the code, and then with semicolon as the end of the line. So we usually run the program or execute the program using by highlighting first the code. It's not a simple like something like we execute it once. Okay. Something like in any other programming language that used uh, to run in just one uh, in just one code. So we need to display a database structure. So we call it as database structure because we identify the column, data type, and the size. So let's have, since we create the precision table, it always ends with semicolon. Okay, so we have here precision ID int, or it will be converted into number. Int and number is the same. Okay, so we have specialization and varchar 20. Insert into is one of the data definition or data manipulation language wherein we manipulate data using insert into. Insert into means we input, okay, input data or values into the column. So let's say into, let's say precision table. Okay, values. So the first column is precision ID. Let's say precision ID like 001 and string specialization as, let's say, surgeon. Ends with semicolon. So let's run, highlight. So we execute each code line per line. It's not something like in Java that we execute it, okay, from top to bottom or from top to bottom. Okay. Let's select. Select is used to display query from the database. So let's say position table. So select trees from position table. So this is derived from our previous topic, ER diagram. So we just transform it into a relational model because we identify the um, attributes of each entity. So we can use insert all into position table. I'll use, let's say 003, let's say let's say neurosurgeon. So into position table values, say 004, say psychiatrist, and into position table values. There you go. It must be placed in on into the last line.